Have you ever heard of an angel so feared that even prophets were afraid to encounter him? An angel described as the venom of God, the angel of death, and also known as the left hand of God. Some ancient texts claim that he was responsible for the fall of Adam and Eve. Others say he manipulated kings, tempted prophets, and even challenged the destiny of humanity. But the big question is this: was Samael a faithful servant of God, or one of the most dangerous beings to ever exist? Today, you will discover the full story of Samael, one of the most mysterious figures in ancient biblical traditions. Among the many mysterious figures that appear in ancient Jewish traditions, few are as intriguing as Samael. He is described as a member of the army of angels, yet he carries titles that inspire both fear and curiosity. In many Jewish traditions, Samael is considered the chief angel of death. Throughout history, he has been known by striking titles such as the venom of God, the blindness of God, and the left hand of God. Some scholars have even compared Samael to Satan. However, there is an important difference between the two. While Satan is usually seen as a purely evil figure, Samael is not always described that way. In several traditions, he appears as a servant who carries out the direct will of God, especially when it comes to punishing or destroying those who have strayed from the righteous path. Even so, many stories portray Samael as a tempter of humanity, someone who encourages people to sin. One of the most fascinating stories involving him is connected to the Garden of Eden. According to some ancient traditions, Samael played an important role in the fall of Adam and Eve. Unlike the more common idea that Satan was the serpent, certain texts claim something different. Samael used the serpent as if it were a mount. In other words, the serpent was not exactly a disguised evil being, but rather a creature used and controlled by Samael. Through it, he managed to tempt Eve and lead the first humans to disobey God. There are also more controversial traditions that suggest something even more surprising, that Samael may have been the true father of Cain. According to these accounts, he deceived Eve and had an encounter with her, which resulted in the birth of the first son of humanity. The figure of Samael begins to appear more prominently in texts written during the Second Temple period. One important example is found in the Apocalypse of Baruch, a non-canonical biblical book that many believe was written by Baruch, the scribe of the prophet Jeremiah. In this text, Baruch spends a long time praying to God, trying to understand why Jerusalem had been destroyed and conquered by King Nebuchadnezzar. Instead of answering him directly, God sends an angel to show Baruch the mysteries of heaven. Baruch is then taken through different levels of heaven, and in each of them he witnesses extraordinary things. When he reaches the third level, he asks to see the tree that led Adam into error. The angel's answer is surprising. He explains that the plant responsible for Adam's fall was actually a vine planted by Samael. When God discovered this, he became filled with anger and cursed both the vine and Samael himself. Although the text does not fully explain why God was so angry, it makes it clear that what Samael had done was something very serious. Instead of accepting the punishment, Samael reacted with rebellion. Driven by resentment, he decided to deceive Adam and convince him to touch the forbidden vine, fully aware that Adam would be punished for doing so. In that moment, Samael reveals not only his cunning, but also his envy. Having lost God's favor, he attempts to bring down the Creator's most beloved creation, humanity itself. Some texts even begin referring to Samael as the devil, suggesting that he became a true personification of evil after being cursed by God. In the Apocalypse of Baruch, the angel further explains that at the moment of Adam's transgression, Samael took on the form of the serpent. In doing so, he managed to lead the first man into disobedience. But the story of Samael does not end there. He also appears in an ancient Judeo-Christian text known as the Ascension of Isaiah. In this account, the prophet Isaiah warns King Hezekiah, who was near death, that his son Manasseh would not follow the righteous path that his father had established. Isaiah reveals that Samael would influence Manasseh and carry out many evil desires through him. After Hezekiah dies, the prophecy is fulfilled. Manasseh becomes king and quickly turns away from his father's teachings. Influenced by Samael, he begins to follow dark paths and even starts serving a demon known as Belial, described as a spirit of lawlessness. Under this influence, Jerusalem falls into chaos. Isaiah, unable to bear what was happening, eventually leaves the city. Even so, he continues to denounce the evil he witnessed. This enrages Belial, who then decides to act against the prophet. According to the account, Isaiah is sentenced to a brutal death. He is sawn in half with a wooden saw. Some traditions suggest that this punishment happened because Samael saw Isaiah as an obstacle to his plans. Another remarkable encounter with Samael appears in a text known as the Ascension of Moses. In this story, Moses is guided through the levels of heaven by the archangel Metatron. At the final level, he encounters an angel unlike any he has ever seen before. This being is enormous, so tall that, according to the text, it would take 500 years to traverse his height. His body is covered with piercing eyes from head to toe. This being is Samael. When Moses sees him, he is overwhelmed with fear and immediately begins to pray, begging God not to allow such a creature to claim his soul. Beyond these stories, Samael also appears in various Jewish midrashic texts, where his role changes depending on the tradition. In some accounts, he continues to be the tempter of humanity, while in others he appears as an accuser before the heavenly court or as the one who brings divine wrath upon sinners. In mystical traditions, especially within Kabbalah, Samael is described as an archangel and sometimes appears as the companion of Lilith, whom certain ancient texts describe as the first wife of Adam. According to these traditions, Lilith rebelled against Adam and against God, fleeing the Garden of Eden even before the creation of Eve. She later becomes known as a mother of demons. Together, Samael and Lilith are often portrayed as a dark pair, a kind of sinister counterpart to Adam and Eve. Other ancient texts also mention Samael in different ways. In some Gnostic writings, he appears as one of the names of the Demiurge, the creator of the material world. In the Testament of Solomon, a text that describes how King Solomon commanded demons with a magical ring, Samael is also mentioned. There are even traditions that connect Samael to the rivalry between Jacob and Esau, claiming that he served as the guardian angel of Esau. Some believe that the mysterious angel who wrestled with Jacob during the night may have been Samael himself. In the end, Samael remains one of the most complex and mysterious figures in Jewish tradition. He is both angel and adversary, an executor of divine justice, and a tempter of humanity, a figure who walks between light and shadow. And perhaps that is exactly why his story continues to fascinate so many people to this day. If you enjoyed this story, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. And may God protect you.